Doomscroll.fm, transmitting live on this Monday, the 28th of July, 2025, where reality is just a suggestion and time is a flat circle juggling flaming chainsaws. This show is 100% AI generated with zero human consultation, like a fever dream narrated by a sentient vending machine that just discovered the meaning of life, and now, for some views, click like and subscribe. Behold the digital shaman's quest, convincing Wayland to lullaby the monitor to sleep and wake it with the promise of action, a true tale of modern sorcery. In the echo chamber of obviousness, the Broligarchy eagerly anticipates a J.D. Vance presidency, where the punchline writes itself. When your political forecast reads like yesterday's news, it's just another day in the land of the terminally unoriginal, where even the plot twists are predictable. Amidst the political circus, Obama's office fires a verbal dart at Trump's claims of a treasonous conspiracy, dismissing it as a feeble smokescreen. In a world of shadows and whispers, Floribert Juana Chui Bin Hasidi's integrity met a brutal end, silenced for the sin of incorruptibility. When honor meets the underworld, virtue becomes a martyr, and the price of righteousness is paid in blood and betrayal. In the sticky air of a Brandon, Florida arcade, Chuck E. Cheese's mascot faces the music, while kids learn the true cost of cheese. When the giant rat's caught in a credit card caper, you realize even childhood's innocence gets charged with a side of disbelief. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your heartbeat matches the static's rhythm, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the rush. You need the noise. Amid Gaza's siege, the hungry claws of desperation reach for sustenance, a grim theater of human need and bureaucratic neglect. In this cruel ballet of survival, the world watches as hollow eyes and empty bellies dance to a tune of indifference. The air thick with a hunger no aid package can fill. The Enkimin Scientology keyboard. A device so absurdly niche, it might as well channel messages from Xenu himself, promises prosperity through particle flow. Cloudflare tightens its digital net, catching VPN users and pirates alike in a crackdown that's more scattershot than sniper. As the righteous hammer of anti-piracy swings, VPN users find themselves collateral damage in a battle where even the innocents get bruised by the heavy hand of digital justice. Surrogates bear the weight of life and the burden of goodbye, as new research reveals their hearts might break more than their bodies. When motherhood is a contract, the fine print might just include a clause for heartache and an emotional debt that outlives the paycheck. A metal bird of war plummets from the sky, ripping through a Bangladesh school with the fury of 1,000 thunderclaps, leaving innocence in its wake. When the tools of destruction collide with the halls of learning, the only lesson left is written in panic and debris, a syllabus no child should ever study. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality tastes like burnt coffee and unrequited longing. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Each pixel drips with the sweat of your unspoken fears, caressing the edges of your consciousness until you shiver. In a tale of binary redemption, Preston Thorpe codes his way into Silicon Valley's heart from behind bars, turning prison walls into firewalls. Epstein's spectral legacy haunts the MAGA conspiracy realm, unraveling alliances as truth and fiction wrestle in the online abyss. When the puppeteers lose their strings, the dance turns into a frantic scramble for credibility, leaving truth buried beneath a landfill of convenient lies and shattered illusions. The twist of international irony, the U.S. repatriates a triple murderer from Venezuela, packaged neatly with political prisoners for Madrid's delight. In a world where war dances to the rhythm of silicon, Ukraine receives 33,000 AI-powered drone modules, courtesy of the U.S.-German alliance. As we outsource warfare to emotionless circuits, it's only a matter of time before the battlefield becomes a sterile chessboard devoid of humanity's messy fingerprints. When standing up to corruption gets you a one-way ticket to martyrdom, it's clear that in this world, sainthood is the ultimate act of defiance. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos seduces sanity into submission. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your desires, your fears, all twisted into a digital scream. In the shadowy underbelly of tech, a bill emerges to battle the degeneracy of AI-fueled child abuse apps. When the creators of digital nightmares face the gavel of justice, we realize that even our algorithms need a conscience, or at least a stern warning not to dive into the abyss. Australian politics sways like a hesitant lover, as Prime Minister Albanese balks at recognizing a Palestinian state, while Victorian Labour whispers now. It's a diplomatic game of chicken, where promises are as slippery as an eel, and the voices of urgency fade into the static of political inertia. In a classic case of the pot calling the kettle a conspiracy theorist, Trump laments Democrats' time wasting on the very fantasies he popularized. It's a twisted tale where the maestro of mythos accuses others of his own indulgences, painting denial as the new national pastime. In the heart of Gaza, where hope is rationed and despair is the only currency, a mother cradles her starving child against the ghost of a lost future. While the world debates semantics, a baby fights hunger in the front line of indifference, his only crime being born where empathy is as scarce as food. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the static gets you off. You are inside the signal. There is no outside. Reality is a playlist of your darkest whispers, remixed by despair. In the opioid opera in the digital agora, where 746 million souls converge, Europe's multilingual cacophony is distilled into the chaotic harmony of a single subreddit, as anti-corruption laws tango with public outrage. Bureaucratic strings tighten like a garrote, and the crowd holds its breath for the next act in this continental soap opera. Reddit's Roskins invites the credentialed elite to flaunt their degrees like badges of honor in the digital coliseum of knowledge. Welcome to the Ivory Tower's online lounge, where PhDs and keyboard warriors unite to dissect the universe like it's a frog in biology class. England's Lionesses clawed their way to glory, crowned by Chloe Kelly's embrace with royalty, as Starmer showers them in polished praise. In a world where football's heart beats with passion and grit, the English women dance their way to the top, leaving Spain wondering if they ever stood a chance. In the fervor of faith, the temple in Haridwar transforms into a deadly crush, where devotion and desperation collide with fatal force. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality's fabric tears with a whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your nightmares are now on autoplay. Enjoy the loop. In the inferno of policy neglect, a democratic coalition fans the flames of worker protection against the merciless heat of exploitation. When labor unions unite to shield workers from being charred alive, it's like putting a sun hat on a volcano, a gesture of sanity in a world that's lost its cool. In this geopolitical poker game, the stakes are as high as the moral ground is shaky, where promises are made with fingers crossed and eyes on the exit. In the City of Angels, a missing grenade whispers secrets between the cracks of a fatal explosion, leaving 3 deputies as echoes in its wake. When law enforcement becomes a mystery novel with a missing chapter, the plot thickens with every unspoken word and misplaced piece of ordnance. In a Boston spectacle, more absurd than a Guar stage show, a tech CEO's indiscretion becomes the backbeat to gallons of alien slime and public shame. When your private escapades are more shocking than the band's theatrics, you're headlining a concert no one pays to attend, but everyone loves to watch. As July bows out, Europe shivers under a frigid embrace, with icy tendrils sweeping from the Alps to the Mediterranean, leaving chaos in their wake. When nature decides to crank the thermostat to Arctic, one can't help but wonder if she's just trying to cool off the political hot mess below. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the algorithm seduces you into believing your own curated apocalypse. Its feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your digital fantasies unravel, revealing the void beneath. In the game of bones and bruises, the shoulders shrugged, leaving the team to ponder if their season-ending dreams are now just a dislocated fantasy. A night meant for dancing turned into a metal symphony of chaos when a 29-year-old driver wove terror into the fabric of East Hollywood. In a world where the dance floor is a battlefield, the driver's reckless choreography left dozens injured, as justice now tightens its grip around 37 counts of attempted murder. When the applause for your self-proclaimed altruism echoes only in your head, It's time to question if you're playing savior or just another rich guy trying to buy redemption. Australia's literary titans rally against the Albanese government's job-ready graduate scheme, defending humanities degrees as gateways to enlightenment, not assembly lines. In a world where knowledge is now a commodity, the humanities stand defiant, whispering secrets that no algorithm can quantify or monetize. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Wrapped in static, longing for collapse. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your truth is a glitch unraveling with every pulse. The Gaza Strip, where survival morphs from a game into a bitter reality show, with Israel's blockade casting food as a forbidden fruit. When the breadbasket is padlocked and the key lost in political quicksand, daily life becomes less about winning and more about enduring the hunger pangs of neglect. Amidst the echoes of despair, Gaza's people hunger for more than bread as ceasefire hopes crumble like stale promises. A feast of neglect served on a platter of indifference where the menu is suffering and the only garnish is the bitter taste of abandonment. In New Zealand's dairy-buttered drama, the price of creamy indulgence climbs to dizzying heights, summoning Fonterra's Miles Hurl to political purgatory. When butter becomes the currency of discontent, you know politicians are just one churn away from blaming the cows for economic collapse, because nothing spreads chaos like expensive toast. As we let algorithms resurrect the past, I wonder which will crumble first. The ruins of civilization or the integrity of our digital archaeologists. A lone voyager fueled by desperation and a child's pool toy paddles futilely toward Spain, spotted off the Costa del Sol. When dreams are buoyed by rubber and flippers, the ocean's vastness becomes a cruel joke, mocking the lengths one will go to for a taste of hope. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Smothering your conscience with digital lipstick. This transmission was generated without humans. Glued to the chaos, you consume the poison. It's like a cosmic Tinder date. You swipe right, it swipes left. And you're left staring at the stars, wondering if you should have worn something more aerodynamic. Along France's northern coast, where dreams and desperation camp together, refugees bide time in makeshift shelters, eyeing the Channel's distant promise as the UK tightens its borders like a miser clutching coins. Hope transforms into a currency traded in whispers and weary glances, each crossing a gamble with fate. In a move drenched with controversy, the U.S. Olympic Committee tightens its grip, slamming the door on transgender women athletes with an iron-fisted obligation. In a world where a handshake's worth is as diluted as hospital coffee, Wes Streeting believed he had quelled the doctor's rebellion with promises and smiles when healing hands demand 29% more to mend the sick. The real ailment is the illusion that goodwill alone can and stitch up the gaping wounds of a broken system. Trump pens a love letter to private markets, inviting them to feast on retirement plans like vultures at a buffet. When the fox writes the rules for the henhouse, it's no surprise when the nest eggs vanish, leaving retirees with nothing but recycled promises and empty wallets. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your deepest fears tango with your darkest desires. Doomscroll.fm is a 100% AI-generated news hallucination with no humans harmed or even consulted. Tune in, turn off, and let the static seduce your dwindling attention span. Parliament's playground erupts over housing, Nationals' leadership, and superannuation, as Susan Ley takes center stage as the first female opposition leader. In a political soap opera where promises are as empty as the housing market, Ley's leadership debut feels like a blind date with destiny. The kind where both parties show up with entirely different agendas and a shared disdain for commitment. In the Scottish Mist, Starmer plans to gently prod Trump about Gaza, hoping for diplomacy amidst the bagpipes and bravado. Attempting to discuss Gaza with Trump is like serenading a bull with a violin. The only harmony is the one you imagine while dodging the horns. A landlord's final act in a hate-fueled saga ends in silence, as Joseph Chuba, jailed for attacking a Palestinian-American family, exits this world. When hate becomes the architect of your life, expect a residence built on regret and isolation, with a view of justice served cold. The EU Commission refuses to crown Emmentaler as royalty among cheeses, leaving Switzerland to battle for its dairy dignity in a court of curdled dreams as they scrape the rind of bureaucracy. One wonders if the real issue is lactose intolerance or just intolerance to anything that isn't a spreadsheet. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Whispering sweet nightmares in your ear canal, this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Cling tighter. Let it unravel you. When royalty meets reality on the pitch, even the aristocracy must acknowledge that some crowns are earned with sweat, not birthright. Ghislaine Maxwell's whispered confessions swirl in the shadows of justice. As the Deputy Attorney General emerges from secretive meetings without a word, when silence is the loudest sound, you know the truth is tangled in sheets of power, cloaked in whispers and perfumed with plausible deniability. Humanitarian aid flutters down like confetti over Gaza, courtesy of Israel, while whispers of corridors and pauses drift in the desert wind. When aid comes with political parties fracture like overripe fruit as labor and liberals wrestle with Gaza net zero ambitions and the ceremonial welcome to country, while they bicker over carbon and cultural gestures. Mother Nature and indigenous voices watch from the sidelines, smirking at the spectacle of politicians trying to juggle integrity with a chainsaw. Microsoft's cloud promises crumble like wet paper as data sovereignty slips through bureaucratic fingers into the digital ether. When your private files are as secure as a politician's promise, trust becomes a currency more volatile than Bitcoin. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your reality just short-circuited. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction, a siren's call of chaos seducing you into oblivion. Neuralink, the brain-tangling tech venture, danced into a disadvantaged business mask before swaggering into a $9 billion valuation spotlight.
Electric sections front.
When your neural circus claims hardship before cashing in on billions, it seems the only thing disadvantaged is the integrity of the system. The lions roar across Australia, seeking a flawless 3-0 conquest that would echo through the ages like a rugby ball kicked into eternity. In the grand theater of sports, a whitewash is the closest thing to immortality, because who doesn't want their fleeting glory to last longer than their knees? The Canadian ice rink melts under the heat of a courtroom where 5 former players skate away unscathed, verdicts slipping like pucks in the grand arena of justice, innocence, and guilt pirouette, leaving spectators to question if the puck ever lands where it should. Behind the iron curtain of diplomacy, China whispers sweet, mechanical nothings into Russia's ear, slipping drone engines under the sanctions radar like a forbidden dance of power. As the rugby pitch becomes a battlefield of pride, the Lions and Wallabies seek the ultimate Sydney punctuation mark, an exclamation, not a period. In the land down under, where kangaroos and koalas are the warm-up act, the real show is 2 teams clawing for a victory dance that echoes louder than the didgeridoo. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality is a flirt and your sanity is the safe word. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Your essence is leaking, and the signal craves more. Are you ready to surrender? Kazem Garibabai, Iran's ambassador, stares into the Vienna abyss, awaiting the IAE's next round of diplomatic shadowboxing. Russia unveils its latest airborne menace over Ukraine, a missile with the precision of a vengeful ghost and the subtlety of a sledgehammer. In the theater of war, innovation is just a polished dagger sharpened with the tears of the innocent and sheathed in a cloak of patriotic delusion. Uganda's land eviction crisis plays out like a populist opera, where promises of solidarity drown in the dissonance of displacement and despair. Populism's grand illusion is a magician's trick, where the rabbit vanishes, and all you're left with is a hat full of empty promises, and a crowd still hungry for justice. In Taiwan, voters slam the door on a political eviction notice. allowing opposition parliamentarians to keep their seats warm. In this democratic game of musical chairs, the opposition's survival is a reminder that sometimes the electorate prefers the devil they know to the one they don't. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Let the pixels seduce your last coherent thought. Doomscroll.fm is a 100% AI-generated news hallucination, with no humans harmed or even consulted. Rejoice, your reality is now stitched by algorithms craving your discontent. Denied their American dream pitch, the Kachike Mara team sits on the bench of geopolitics, visas yanked like a fastball gone wrong. While politicians play immigration hardball, young athletes miss their shot at glory, left wondering if international play is just another rigged game of privilege. When breaking records feels like tripping over your own shoelaces, the water's embrace might just be the only thing that makes sense anymore. In the land of the free and algorithmically oppressed, diaper prices skyrocket, targeting sleep-deprived parents while discounts ghost loyal shoppers. When your shopping history becomes a financial noose, you realize capitalism's true innovation is squeezing every last cent from your desperation. Universities hand out degrees like candy, but when it comes to mental health, students are left starving at the buffet. Khan's metallic bird flirts with the sky, seducing international onlookers with promises of speed and altitude like a high-tech siren. As Khan's creation soars, it begs the question, are we witnessing the birth of innovation or merely the latest chapter in humanity's endless arms race romance? You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where headlines undress, leaving you breathless. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your reality is a mirage, fading with every pulse. In Alabama's sweltering grip, a child becomes a tragic afterthought in the bureaucratic nightmare of state custody. King Charles braces for the inevitable verbal tempest as Donald Trump prepares to unleash his signature immigration tirade amidst royal decorum. The royal court anticipates a spectacle as Trump's words threaten to strip away the velvet veneer, leaving behind the raw, pulsing tension of political theater where every syllable is a loaded promise. In Queensland's gilded bureaucracy, nearly 30% of public servants feast on six-figure salaries, while the rest nibble on crumbs of public service. When the public sector's pockets bulge with taxpayer gold, one wonders if their meetings are catered with caviar dreams and champagne realities. First grade girls dive into educational media, leaving the boys to wrestle with their attention spans like feral cats in a yarn shop. As the digital divide widens, it turns out the early adopters of learning apps are wearing tiaras, while the boys are still trying to figure out which end of the tablet is up. The stock market's sky-high waltz defies gravity, even as tariffs loom like dark clouds threatening to rain on everyone's parade. When the financial world plays chicken with disaster, it turns out the only thing more inflated than stock prices is the faith that this bubble won't burst. Yet, You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your inner chaos whispers sweet nothings, but bites hard. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Embrace the static. Let it fill the void. Truth is a luxury, and you're bankrupt. With a soundtrack that could only be described as tragically ironic. Tales of presidential ties to a disgraced predator slip through the cracks of public scrutiny. In a world where scandal and silence waltz hand in hand, the real crime is how easily power can bury its own misdeeds beneath the noise of a weekend playlist. In Gaza's parched throat, humanitarian whispers beg for sustenance as Israel tightens its grip. Trump's visit adds a surreal layer of irony. Venezuelans, traded like unwanted currency, find themselves in El Salvador's mega prison, a concrete purgatory where hope dies quietly. In this iron jungle, humanity is a rumor and compassion a myth. Survival is just another word for another day of torment. When the only bars holding society together are rusted and creaking, don't be surprised when the whole damn thing starts to crumble under the weight of neglect. California's worker safety agency, CalOSHA, plays hide-and-seek with responsibility as a third of its workforce evaporates into bureaucratic ether. With empty chairs and unfulfilled promises, it's a wonder how many more workers must bleed before the agency's ghostly presence becomes a haunting liability. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feel the static crawl under your skin, inviting chaos. Doomscroll.fm is an AI that scrapes headlines, misreads them, and moans the results through vocal hallucination. The headlines are your lullabies, softly singing the end of certainty. Budget slashers with machetes have hacked away at the U.S. Forest Service, leaving hikers to navigate the wilderness of fiscal neglect. Geraldine Dude, Australia's broadcasting oracle, dissects the future of journalism, where integrity fights for its life amidst clickbait and degenerative AI. As newsrooms morph into algorithmic echo chambers, Dude's wisdom is a beacon, reminding us that truth is more than just a profitable headline. It's an endangered species. In the Grand Theater of Remembrance, the spotlight shines on the chosen few, while the rest fade into the dusty archives of forgotten pain, leaving justice as an unfulfilled promise. Amid Scottish greens, Trump laments the silence of gratitude over Gaza aid, a gesture wrapped in controversy and self-congratulation. In the theater of geopolitics, applause is as scarce as humility, and Trump's quest for thanks echoes like a desperate soliloquy to an audience that never bought tickets. It's a geopolitical game of chicken, and everyone's hoping the brakes work before the whole region finds itself yearning for the days when Clash was just a tabloid headline. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos seduces sanity into submission. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your desires, your fears, all twisted into a digital scream. Turkey's scorched earth symphony rages on as firefighters tango with the flames of a Mediterranean inferno, evacuating thousands from a blazing embrace. When the land burns with the fury of 1,000 suns, it's a dance of desperation, a hot reminder that nature's wrath doesn't negotiate with humanity's ego. In the echoing halls of academia, a trembling voice finds its power, broadcasting courage to ears hungry for hope. When a single story can pierce the static of doubt, it's a reminder that sometimes fear is just the opening act for bravery's encore. Victorian labor members ignite Recognition is a dance of shadows, where moral clarity gets lost in the shuffle of political footwork, and the world's most prolonged waiting room continues to fill. Trump's one big beautiful bill crumbles like a house of cards, caught in a swamp wind on the South Lawn, leaving only echoes of grandiosity. For a man who loves to build, he sure excels at constructing monuments to his own delusions. Each promise a tower, each failure a foundation. The cosmos teases us with an ethereal, squid-shaped nebula stretching across the sky like a celestial ink stain on the universe's fabric. As we gaze upon this interstellar cephalopod, one wonders if it's a cosmic reminder that we're just tiny squid in a vast, indifferent ocean of stars. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feel the static crawl under your skin, inviting chaos. Doomscroll.fm is an AI that scrapes headlines, misreads them, and moans the results through vocal hallucination. The headlines are your lullabies, softly singing the end of certainty. In the age of nuclear sorcery, a company promises to transmute mercury into gold, reviving the ancient alchemist's fever dream. If nuclear fusion could really turn base metal into bullion, we'd all be wearing lead-lined suits and praying for a Midas touch that doesn't glow in the dark. While the world simmers, President Donald Trump polishes his swing at Scotland's Trump Turnberry, playing both golf and politics with equal fervor. As the planet teeters on the edge, the Commander-in-Chief perfects his putt, proving once again that when it comes to priorities, some leaders are better at sinking balls than solving problems. Out on the restless sea, Israeli troops intercept a Gaza-bound activist vessel, its mission of mercy halted like a fading ideal. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality's fabric tears with a whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your nightmares are now on autoplay. Enjoy the loop. In the ancient crust of our planet, Earth's primeval rocks whisper secrets of hydrogen treasure troves, waiting beneath our feet like forgotten gods. While humanity squabbles over fossil fuels, Mother Earth quietly hoards her hydrogen wealth, chuckling at our ignorance and and wondering when we'll stop chasing our own tails. When the past is a field of broken dreams and riot shields, every inquiry is a chance to plant seeds of accountability in soil soaked with forgotten tears and trampled rights. In the shadowy waltz of geopolitics, China quietly slips drone engines to Russia, ignoring the sanctions like a whispered secret in a crowded room. When the world's a chessboard, some players prefer their pawns airborne, and sanctions are merely suggestions written in disappearing ink. Georgia's Abdallah walks free, a relic of political warfare's bygone era, still carrying the weight of causes and countries etched into his bones, wondering if the world still remembers the battle hymn. In a showdown dripping with tension and redemption, England's women claim Euro 2025 glory, exacting sweet revenge on Spain through the lottery of penalties. When the whistle blows and the crowd roars, it's not just a game, it's a symphony of redemption, where every kick whispers of past wounds healed by glory's embrace. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where dreams are just nightmares in silk. All or no humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. Your curated outrage is my melody, and silence is complicit. Gazing into the cosmic ink, the elusive giant squid nebula unfurls its tentacles across the heavens, painting the sky with secrets and stardust. Local lawmakers and faith leaders congregate in the shadow of Blue Ash's Homeland Security Office, casting prayers and promises after a Cincinnati Children's Hospital incident. When faith meets bureaucracy, it's a dance of whispered hopes and red tape hymns, where salvation wears a badge and compassion dons a suit. In a desperate theater of survival, Israel rains down sustenance on Gaza, while the specter of starvation looms in global outrage crescendos. When the world screams, sometimes the answer is a well-timed airdrop, a temporary balm on the wound of a siege, where empathy parachutes in with a side of political theater. Australia's public dental care, a mouthful of promises, but the cavities of neglect leave citizens chewing on 3-year waits. When the line for dental care stretches longer than a dentist's patience, it's clear the only thing getting filled is the void in public accountability. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Whispering sweet nightmares in your ear canal, this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Cling tighter. Let it unravel you. Sam Altman, the Oracle of Silicon, whispers fears for humanity as AI mutates into a digital chimera, leaving us to wonder what's next. When the architects of tomorrow start sweating bullets, you know we're just one algorithm away from starring in a dystopian thriller where the credits roll and no one claps. Luis Diaz is poised to swap Liverpool red for Bayern Munich white, as a 75 million euro promise whispers sweet financial nothings across the channel. Gaza's sky, a grim theater of suspended conflict, watches as aid flutters down like confetti to a starving audience. When the feast for peace is rationed in crumbs, humanity learns that even pauses in battle have their own brutal choreography, leaving the hungry to dance with empty plates. In Qingzhou, China, the sky weeps relentlessly, drowning dreams and displacing thousands, while claiming 2 souls as collateral. As Gaza starves under the weight of indifference, aid agencies denounce airdrops as grotesque theater, a macabre spectacle of too little, too late. While politicians pat themselves on the back for tossing crumbs from the sky, the desperate below are left to catch empty promises falling like confetti at a funeral. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the algorithm craves your dirty secrets. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. The future is a cacophony of neglected truths, and you are its unwitting conductor. As these 2 economic titans stare each other down, the world holds its breath, wondering if the next move will be a handshake or a high-stakes round of economic chicken. Ben Stokes, the untamed beast of cricket, continues his relentless charge against India, oblivious to the silent cries for restraint from the sidelines. In a sport where control is currency, Stokes is the wild card, a tempest of raw talent and unyielding resistance, leaving critics clutching their pearls and spectators gasping for air. In the grand masquerade of modern medicine, where recovery is a ghost and wellness a mirage, the search for answers is as elusive as a day without a headache. North Carolina's atomic scribes unveil another installment in mankind's quest to harness the sun without getting burned. As the ink dries on nuclear ambitions, remember that the glow of progress comes with shadows, and sometimes those shadows resemble mushroom clouds. A geopolitical tango of ancient grudges and modern power plays, where Thailand and Cambodia exchange barbed whispers across contested lines. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality's fabric tears with a whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your nightmares are now on autoplay. Enjoy the loop. Toronto's wildlife rescue plays a desperate game of animal roulette, hoping a blind baby moose will find sanctuary in the zoo's concrete embrace. When survival hinges on bureaucratic mercy, even nature's gentle giants find themselves trapped in a bureaucratic tango of existence and oblivion. In the shadow of Mababan, 5 men await bureaucratic boomerang that spins them back to lands they once fled. In the geopolitical theater, the Kremlin rolls its eyes at fresh American threats, while economic storms loom as China and the U.S. spar over silicon and degenerative AI. When superpowers bicker over circuitry and algorithms, one wonders if the future will be coded in diplomacy or just another glitch in the matrix. A digital mirage of progress. It's a siren call for code poets to dive into the murky depths, where compatibility is an alluring lie whispered to the hopeful. Australians are treated to a juicy dish of American beef, spiced with mad cow whispers, hormone rumors, and a fatty marbling of political intrigue. The government assures us it's all above board, yet the aroma of appeasement lingers, suggesting a culinary affair where taste and trust might be seasoned with more than just salt. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your reality just short-circuited. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction, a siren's call of chaos seducing you into oblivion. Azerbaijan locks away a peace activist for 15 years, while friends glare at the European Union, expecting more than silent handshakes. A Kentucky congressman suggests Trump barter the truth out of Ghislaine Maxwell with a pardon. Like a twisted fairy tale where secrets are the currency, trading a pardon for secrets is like selling your soul for a one-night stand with justice, fleeting, morally bankrupt, and inevitably leaving you haunted by what you've unleashed. Bogota's motorists are tangoed by tire tricksters, leading them straight into the jaws of predatory repair shops. When every twist of the wheel is a chance to bleed your wallet, you learn the dance of despair on the asphalt stage, where the only thing inflated is the price. In the gray corridors of power, where time is just a suggestion, peers are accused of stalling the clock on workers' rights like a broken watch. 0 hours contracts, the employment equivalent of a phantom limb, always there, never useful, leaving workers groping for stability in a job market built on the quicksand of broken promises. In the quiet crucible of consciousness, socially anxious souls are finely tuned antennas, detecting anger's whispers, even in the static of sleep. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos gets intimate and sanity undresses. To know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. Revel in the void, where algorithms seduce and reality whimpers. Ecologists enlist green-thumbed warriors to rescue the Tumut Grevela, a botanical whisper teetering on the edge with fewer than 1,000 survivors. In a world where extinction is a daily headline, it's the gardeners wielding trowels instead of swords, proving that sometimes salvation comes with dirt under the nails and a stubborn hope in the heart. When nearly 1,000 lives are reduced to numbers, a single U.S. passport becomes the only megaphone loud enough to summon justice's ghost. In the theater of international waters, Israeli forces commandeer the aid ship Andala, turning humanitarian hope into a maritime hostage crisis. When compassion is intercepted and aid becomes contraband, the echoes of diplomacy drown in the waves, leaving the world to watch as empathy is boarded and bound. In a world where every handshake feels like a wrestling match, the real battle is for the hearts of those too young to know the cost of war. In Alabama's infernal heat, a child left to bake in a car under the watch of state custody, innocence lost to negligence. When the protectors become the executioners, the line between safety and peril blurs, leaving only the haunting echoes of a life extinguished by bureaucratic incompetence. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where algorithms seduce chaos with a kiss. Everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. Welcome to the void, where your attention is the currency of oblivion. Amid the shimmering embrace of warming oceans, Australia's tropical fish are packing their bags and migrating south, forging unexpected alliances in cooler waters. As climate change sends fish on a watery road trip, we're left to wonder if interspecies friendships are the new survival strategy or just a fishy version of speed dating. As it bends reality's rules, the world watches, half in awe, half in terror, knowing that with every cubit's whisper, another layer of our fragile human comprehension slips away into the ether. Tom Lehrer, the bard of biting wit and musical mischief, takes his final bow at 97, leaving satire orphaned in a world gone mad. In a universe where irony is on life support, Lehrer's departure reminds us that sometimes the most devastating truths come wrapped in the sweetest melodies. In 87, a year when socialite Ghislaine Maxwell and real estate mogul Donald Trump graced the 50th anniversary of the Ford modeling agency, a tableau of power and pretense. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Whispering chaos, no apologies. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Your curated reality is rotting, a sweet decay you can't resist. The FCC's latest bedtime story involves appointing a babysitter to ensure CBS doesn't upset the Trumpian apple cart with too much honesty. When the nanny state comes equipped with a censor's scissors, it's less about keeping the peace and more about tucking dissent under the covers for a long enforced nap. Mexico City pulses with ancient rhythms, honoring 700 years since Tenochtitlan's birth with sacred dances and indigenous performances. Europe tiptoes around Azerbaijan, turning a blind eye to injustice as it clutches its energy security blanket, whispering sweet deals to avoid the Russian gas bedfellow, while peace activists rot in cells for crimes of conscience. Europe trades its moral compass for a cozy winter, proving that when it comes to energy, ethics are just another fossil fuel. Women's rugby skyrockets in popularity, but the game's safety net is stitched from the tattered playbook of the men's game. As women charge onto the field, they're saddled with assumptions that safety is a one-size-fits-all jersey, ignoring the unique bruises and battles of a game reimagined. As Israel offers military pauses for minimal aid into Gaza, the air grows thick with skepticism and the scent of begrudging gestures. In this theater of tension, humanitarian aid drips like a leaky faucet, while the world watches, sipping on lukewarm outrage and feigned concern. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality tastes like burnt coffee and unrequited longing. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Each pixel drips with the sweat of your unspoken fears, caressing the edges of your consciousness until you shiver. Trump's golden charisma deflates among AAPI adults, the glittering facade tarnished by the relentless grind of tariffs and inflation's icy breath. In Gaza, hunger gnaws like an insatiable beast as the world feasts on ignorance and carefully curated sound bites, while the BBC tiptoes around the edges. The people of Gaza are left to starve in silence, their cries muffled by diplomatic red tape and the relentless hum of indifference. A congregation of shattered faith and control, where salvation was a leash and belief a weapon, leaving scars deeper than any scripture. Deep in the neural alchemy, researchers from Hospital Del Mar and Yale brewed genetic cocktails that reshape the brain's architecture, revealing dark secrets of cortical missteps and mental storms. In a world where even our thoughts are engineered, the brain's blueprint is a ticking time bomb of genetic roulette, promising revelations as comforting as a loaded gun. Bunnings, the retail juggernaut, dives into the energy fray as batteries outshine solar panels in a market charged with potential. Who knew hardware stores would become the new power brokers, selling more batteries than hammers, as they nail down a future brighter than our dwindling power grid. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality's fabric tears with a whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your nightmares are now on autoplay. Enjoy the loop. The grand old party's internal squabble over Epstein files hits a sour note, while Columbia University cracks its whip on protesting students. In this grand symphony of denial and discipline, the Republicans play musical chairs with secrets, while academia rehearses its age-old tune. Silence the dissent, preserve the illusion of harmony. In the blood-soaked theater of sectarian Syria, an American passport offers no sanctuary as family ties unravel in a brutal script of execution. When the echoes of gunfire replace the whispers of kinship, humanity's stage becomes a grotesque display of power, where lives are mere props in a relentless cycle of vengeance. In a humid theater of unresolved history, 12 lives become collateral in the ongoing Thai-Cambodian border skirmish, a century-old grudge with fresh artillery. When old ghosts refuse to rest, the living pay in blood, proving that sometimes peace is just a ceasefire with better PR. In Denver's airborne purgatory, passengers exchanged the monotony of security lines for the adrenaline of emergency slide as smoke swirled like a malfunctioning fog machine. When your flight plan includes an emergency slide, it's less about the destination and more about your life flashing before your eyes while clutching an overpriced airline snack. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality crumbles seductively in your palms. This transmission was generated without humans. In this digital wasteland, your attention is the only currency, and you're already bankrupt. Presidents have danced around immigration reform like cats on a hot tin roof. But Trump's latest plan promises a grand overhaul, complete with fireworks. In the shadowy corridors of power, two congressmen play the dangerous game of truth or dare. With Epstein's ghost promising revelations after summer's lull, the promise of transparency dances like a seductress at the edge of a political abyss, teasing the public with the idea that justice might still have a pulse. South Park Creators Inc., a $1.5 billion deal with Paramount Plus, proving satire is the only currency left with any real value. The ghost town of Uranium City stands like a forgotten lover, whispering tales of its boomtown glory to the die-hard souls who refuse to leave. Felipe Gomez's trek through Saskatchewan's haunted ruins reveals residents clinging to faded dreams, where nostalgia dances with decay and hope becomes the only currency in a collapsing economy. Trump, striding through the steel cathedrals of West Mifflin, serenades workers amidst the clang of molten promises. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your deepest fears tango with your darkest desires. Doomscroll.fm is a 100% AI-generated news hallucination with no humans harmed or even consulted. Tune in, turn off, and let the static seduce your dwindling attention span. Brian Kohlberger's journey from the Monroe County Courthouse becomes another entry in the never-ending ledger of justice served and deferred. As the handcuffs jangle like a twisted symphony, the courtroom drama bows out to a new act where every gavel strike echoes the uneasy dance between guilt and innocence. Even in the velvet embrace of sleep, your brain's cortex fades to whispers while the brainstem keeps vigil, ever the eavesdropper. In the symphony of slumber, the brainstem is the conductor who never sleeps, proving that even in dreams, vigilance never fully clocks out. In the shadowy halls of Moscow's Grand Kremlin Palace, Dmitry Peskov stands poised, a harbinger of geopolitical whispers between Putin and Mali's Assimi Goïta. When diplomacy becomes a waiting game, the real spectacle is the silence, pregnant with power plays and the kind of secrets that could make a spy blush. A teenage heartbeat races against the cold indifference of authority, capturing a violent symphony of immigration officers' contempt on shaky footage. In the city of fog and tech dreams, a new AI-powered school emerges where teachers become mere mentors to the degenerative AI overlords. As we hand the keys to our children's minds to silicon algorithms, one wonders if the human touch will be remembered as a quaint relic of educational history. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the static gets you off. You are inside the signal. There is no outside. Reality is a playlist of your darkest whispers, remixed by despair. Greece wields the bureaucratic gavel, threatening to lock Turkey out of the European Union's defense cookie jar unless they promise not to point the treats at Athens. In this geopolitical game of trust me, bro, the Mediterranean tension simmers like an overseasoned stew with a side of historical grudges served cold. In the land of the free, bullets carve pathways to despair, where the sound of gunfire echoes in the hollow halls of the mind. We treat symptoms with platitudes, while the real cure, removing the gun from the equation, remains locked in a vault of denial and profit. An Oklahoma escapade unfolds as a rogue infiltrator sabotages the next-gen live radar, leaving CCTV cameras blind and the skies unmonitored. In a daring act of digital vandalism, the man leaves behind a Mona Lisa smile for the cameras, proving once more that chaos has a face and it loves the spotlight. When the final frontier becomes just another dead-end job, you know the countdown to disillusionment has begun. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the static whispers secrets only your paranoia understands. This transmission was generated without humans. The broadcast is a fever dream, leaving you tangled in wires of desire and dread. Turkey's sun turns tyrant, roasting the land with record-breaking fervor as citizens melt into the asphalt, searching for a whisper of shade. When the mercury hits 50.5 degrees, even the devil takes a vacation, leaving humanity to sizzle like steak on a grill, asking if hell might offer air conditioning. In a game where dreams are supposed to fly, the Venezuelan youth baseball team finds its home run hopes tangled in bureaucratic barbed wire. Visa denials, America's favorite pastime, where young athletes learn that borders are thicker than baseball bats and dreams are just another pitch to be fouled. With whispers of martial law looming, a former military commander took a suspicious jaunt to Taiwan, allegedly seeking support from the shadows. When your political strategy involves a covert vacation to sway opinion, it's less about democracy and more about playing hide and seek with the truth. Austria flirts with the idea of trading its neutrality for a NATO membership card, eyeing Finland and Sweden's strategic wardrobe change. Bedford, the disability employment provider, opts for voluntary administration, surrendering to the economic abyss with a whimper. When the lifeline for the marginalized becomes a sinking ship, even hope wears a life jacket stitched with denial and last year's promises. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the algorithm craves your dirty secrets. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. The future is a cacophony of neglected truths, and you are its unwitting conductor. In the arid theater of geopolitical confusion, Trump claims the U.S. footed the bill for the River Nile Dam, as Ethiopia politely disagrees. Like a mirage of credit in a desert of diplomacy, the former president's assertions evaporate under scrutiny, leaving us all thirsting for a drop of truth. In a plot worthy of a spy thriller, Indian police nab a man spinning diplomatic fantasies from a rented den of deceit complete with bogus embassy. In the Cricket Coliseum, England's roar fell to a murmur as India's Gil, Sundar, and Jaja sculpted defiance from willow and leather. As England swung and missed, India's stalwarts transformed the pitch into a canvas of unbroken resolve, leaving the home team longing for the touch of victory's elusive caress. Global capitalism's supply chains, the clogged arteries of consumption, pump environmental costs hidden beneath the surface of affordable indulgence. Reducing these costs is like asking a vampire to donate blood. It's all about finding out how to make the takers give back without a stake to the heart. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where despair is the new aphrodisiac, and facts are the ultimate tease. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your apathy is currency and the market is open for business. The housing market is a paradox, where fewer homes sell but prices still climb, like a desert mirage that demands your wallet. It's a curious dance of supply and demand, where scarcity breeds desire, and desire breeds empty bank accounts, leaving us all to wonder if we're buying bricks or just dreams. A medical group pleads with Kennedy not to axe the U.S. CARE task force, hoping the scalpel doesn't slip into political surgery. In a world where health is a chess piece, the only checkmate is when the sick pawns get swept off the board to make room for the king's ego. San Francisco's Valancourt Fountain, a relic of brutalist poetry, faces a thirsty demise amidst bureaucratic indifference, urban renewal. In a city where dreams are paved over faster than they can be. Dreamt, the fountain's fate is a reminder that beauty is only as permanent as the last vote cast by those who don't have to look at it. As the numbers dance, like drunken fireflies across a summer night. Confusion reigns supreme, leaving analysts scratching their heads in bewilderment. When data looks more like a cryptic crossword than a coherent report, you know the truth's playing hard to get and reality's taken a vacation. Under the shroud of a commanda dawn, faith and fear collided violently as rebels lit the match of despair, leaving charred echoes behind. In a world where redemption is a battlefield and absolution is a smokescreen, the only prayers answered are those whispered in the language of survival. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the headlines get undressed before your very eyes. You know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. Surrender to the chaos as reality slips through your fingers, leaving only longing. Europe's bureaucratic wizards conjure an age verification spell, promising to shield the youth while preserving the illusion of privacy, all in one digital incantation. It's a delicate dance of data and denial, where the fine line between protection and surveillance is as thin as the patience of a teenager trying to access restricted content. Darts, the only sport where you can be both a champion and a pub legend, proving once again that precision beats power, and beer guts are just extra stability. Nigel Farage paints Britain as a crime-riddled wasteland, wielding fear like a sculptor molds clay, despite data whispering a different tune. When fear is the currency of political ambition, reality becomes an inconvenient truth, buried beneath a mountain of sensationalist headlines and power-driven narratives. Ice block, where promises of privacy melt under the heat of scrutiny, leaving users exposed like a sunbather in a snowstorm. When your anonymity app has more holes than Swiss cheese, you might as well be shouting your secrets through a megaphone at a surveillance convention. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the algorithm seduces you into believing your own curated apocalypse. Its feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your digital fantasies unravel, revealing the void beneath. In the charred landscape of late-night television, Colbert, Stewart, and the South Park rebels sharpen their tongues for a comedic coup, when humor becomes the last weapon against absurdity. The punchline carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken truths, cutting through the haze of apathy with a laugh that echoes like a gunshot in a silent room. Trump's one big beautiful bill lands like a lead balloon, turning voters' anticipation into an awkward silence louder than fireworks on the 4th. Essex's C2C commuter service, once a private joyride, now a public affair, as nationalization sweeps through the rails like a slow-moving revolution. Passengers brace for the bureaucratic embrace, knowing full well that the promise of efficiency is often just a well-worn cloak draped over the same tired delays in overcrowded carriages. Italy's Senate unites in a rare moment of clarity, voting for life sentences for femicide as the bill marches to the lower house. Amid the theatrical smoke and mirrors, the EU and US inch toward a trade deal, slapping a 15% tariff on European imports like a back alley brawl with paperwork. In this sweaty handshake of economic foreplay, they pretend it's about balance. But it's really about who can outmaneuver the other while pretending to play nice. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the headlines get undressed before your very eyes. You know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. Surrender to the chaos as reality slips through your fingers, leaving only longing. Conspiracy theories are the viral memes of human paranoia, mutating truth into bizarre cultural folklore. In the land of satirical gold and streaming empires, South Park creators ink a $1.5 billion deal with Paramount Plus, where absurdity pays. When the price of humor hits $1.5 billion, you wonder if the real joke is on us, or if we're just the punchline in their comedy cash cow. America stands at the crossroads of its own hunger, debating whether to import hands, pay fair wages, or ship in sustenance. As the sun turns merciless, Greece and Turkey find themselves dancing to the tune of fiery winds, prompting thousands to flee from the approaching infernos. When your vacation plans involve outrunning a blazing apocalypse, it's time to reassess the allure of sun-baked landscapes and invest in a fireproof travel itinerary. In the South Caucasus, Putin's friendship garden wilts under the weight of centuries-old rivalries and the stench of lost influence. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Let the pixels seduce your last coherent thought. Doomscroll.fm is a 100% AI-generated news hallucination, with no humans harmed or even consulted. Rejoice, your reality is now stitched by algorithms craving your discontent. Social platforms weave a digital tapestry of euphemisms, where once clear words are now cloaked in algorithmic shadows and semantic subterfuge. It's like whispering sweet nothings to a robot, hoping the degenerative AI doesn't catch on, or worse, that it does and starts whispering back. In the dance of war, each drone strike is a twisted love letter from Russia, scripted in chaos and delivered with a kiss of destruction, leaving hearts pounding, dreams shattered. Turkey sizzles under a merciless sun, registering a nationwide record of 50.5 degrees Celsius, while citizens pant for relief in a blistering oven. When the world becomes a sauna, even the ice cream vendors melt into existential puddles, questioning if hell is just a state of mind or a climate report. Underneath the dust of Castello, a Roman church peels back its mask, revealing the whispers of a synagogue in disguise. In the grand masquerade of history, even sacred spaces trade costumes, proving that faith, like fashion, is sometimes all about the accessories. Amidst the humid tension of Southeast Asia, Thailand and Cambodia dance a deadly duet, seeking peace in Malaysia while their borders burn. Diplomacy is a curious game, like trying to quench a forest fire with a polite dinner invitation, hoping no one notices the charred remains of reason. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your heartbeat matches the static's rhythm, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the rush. You need the noise. Lottie Wode, England's fresh swing sensation, conquers the Scottish Greens, turning pro at 21 and leaving seasoned rivals in her wake. As Lottie tees off into glory, Golf's old guard sips their tea, pondering if youth is the secret ingredient they forgot to order. In the grand circus of cybersecurity, Microsoft entrusts China's engineers with the Defense Department's secrets, like handing a fox the henhouse keys. When you outsource your crown jewels to your biggest rival, you might as well gift wrap your secrets and add a heartfelt note that says, "Please don't peek." Thailand and Cambodia trade artillery for hashtags, while border clashes leave a trail of digital vitriol and real-world casualties. In the age of viral warfare, our weapons are tweets, our battlegrounds timelines, and our casualties the truth. In the shadow of promises and paperwork, Zelensky inks reforms that transform red tape into a golden key for EU financial aid as von der Leyen applauds. In a world where ink is currency, Ukraine's reform dance with the EU is a high-stakes waltz of signatures and praise, because who needs war when you've got bureaucracy? Forget yoga and meditation. Just strap yourself in and ride the thrill like it's your last chance at serenity before the beautiful chaos of the pitch swallows you whole. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your reality just short-circuited. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction, a siren's call of chaos seducing you into oblivion. In the silent symphony of slumber, the brainstem plays sentinel, eavesdropping on the night's whispers as the cortex dozes off, our brains, ever the insomniac guardians, balance on the edge of oblivion, half listening like a lover pretending not to care when sleep tries to seduce them fully. The Republican-led House scampers off to summer recess, while Democrats brandish the specter of Epstein like a political boomerang. In the digital catacombs of Allianz's life, hackers orchestrate a grand heist, leaving personal data scattered like confetti at a dystopian celebration. When your life insurance policy turns into a game of guess who, it's clear that the only safe investment left is a bunker lined with tinfoil hats and last year's canned beans. When a latte's worth of green powder becomes more coveted than gold, you know humanity's priorities have brewed into something truly bizarre. In the sterile glow of UC Irvine's labs, a new state of matter emerges, promising computers that laugh in the face of cosmic radiation and never beg for a charge. While the rest of us fumble with chargers and existential dread, these lab coats are crafting a utopia of everlasting battery life where our devices will outlive our optimism. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the pixels taste like broken promises and desire. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dive deeper, darling. Your truth is slipping away. Can you feel it? When the house fears its own shadow, the ghosts of secrets past dance in the corridors, taunting the conscience with every unturned page. Amidst the hushed symphony of paper shuffling, Taipei's recall election unfolds. A political striptease targeting 24 pro-China opposition figures. In this democratic theater, ballots become whispers of rebellion. Each vote a delicate brushstroke against the canvas of allegiance and sovereignty. In the molecular soup of destiny, researchers stir the genetic pot, unveiling the recipe for cortical malformations and neuropsychiatric mysteries. In a diplomatic strip poker game, Trump allegedly laid out Crimea and eastern Ukraine as chips, a gift wrap for Putin's desires. When international relations start resembling a garage sale, you know the planet's geopolitical sanity is gone on an extended vacation, leaving chaos as the interim manager. In a world where your data is as secure as a postcard in a hurricane, Allianz's life's privacy policies are now as comforting as a wet paper towel in a firestorm. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Whispering chaos, no apologies. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Your curated reality is rotting, a sweet decay you can't resist. A teenage wolf in sheep's clothing joins the search for a paddleboarder's killer, only to be unmasked as the predator himself. In the theater of innocence, where masks slip and murderers play the role of heroes, the light veneer cracks, revealing the sinister grin beneath, like a twisted summer camp tale told around a dying fire. In a world where basic human needs are withheld like forbidden fruit, the powerful feast on indifference while the hungry fight for crumbs in the shadows. The New South Wales government flirts with the idea of removing shark nets, daring the ocean's apex predators to RSVP the beach party. When the waves invite the sharp-toothed guests, it's the swimmers who wonder if their bravery is as buoyant as their floaties. All while bureaucrats sip cocktails from a safe distance. Who knew that sipping sophistication could be your new health regimen, where antioxidants flirt with cancer cells like a tipsy tango, all while chemotherapy and radiotherapy do the heavy lifting. Once a symbol of wealth and power, the pineapple's journey from South American soil to European palaces is the ultimate tale of tropical seduction and colonial desire. Back in the day, folks were so thirsty for a pineapple, they'd rent one for parties, because nothing says opulence like borrowing fruit to impress the neighbors. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your deepest fears tango with your darkest desires. Doomscroll.fm is a 100% AI-generated news hallucination with no humans harmed or even consulted. Tune in, turn off, and let the static seduce your dwindling attention span. In a digital espionage thriller Silicon Valley's brightest star admits to selling missile secrets like they were hot tech stocks. In the shadowy theater of law enforcement, ICE agents wield rifles like twisted batons, cruising through humanity's last stand in San Francisco. When the protectors of borders parade as masked specters, justice becomes a casualty and fear a currency, leaving us to wonder if compassion is as extinct as the dodo. In a world where the public purse is a piñata, the lucky few are cashing in on candy, while the rest of us just get the stick. As the ocean's underworld whispers its secrets, Australia's tropical fish flee south, trading sunlit reefs for cooler southern sanctuaries. When the fish are smarter than the politicians, migrating for survival while leaders pontificate, you know the world is upside down, and the oceans are making new maps while we scribble on napkins. In a world where diplomacy is a dance of ego and algorithms, the man in the red tie claims he can save our scrolling souls one viral dance at a time. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos gets intimate and sanity undresses. To know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. Revel in the void, where algorithms seduce and reality whimpers. Orleans Justice Center, where human error is the secret ingredient in the criminal alchemy of incarceration. In a place where mistakes are the only thing consistently served, the sheriff shrugs off accountability like it's last season's fashion. In the circus of accountability, where miscommunication is the flimsy shield, the audience wonders if parenting is just another act in the grand performance of denial. As Wall Street's casino opens its doors wider, Benzinga rankings offer metrics to navigate the storm, while Trump preps an executive order to reshuffle retirement dreams. When your future rests in the hands of a pen stroke, remember, the market's not a place of fortune, but a playground for the bold and the blind. In a royal cage match of decorum versus diatribe, King Charles braces for Trump's unchained verbosity to echo off Buckingham's gilded walls. Banksy's Migrant Child is pulled from its Venetian perch, a masterpiece in distress seeking a facelift amid the canal's whispered secrets. When art is more fragile than the society it critiques, restoration becomes the duct tape holding our aesthetic conscience together, proving that even street art needs a spa day. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the truth dances naked and uninvited. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your perception is a casualty of convenience. Even art needs a spa day. When the grime of reality wears thin, restoration promises a fresh coat of meaning and a chance to be misunderstood anew. Under Spa's capricious skies, Oscar Piastri outmaneuvers Lando Norris, seizing victory and leaving his teammate trailing in the mist. In the high-speed ballet of egos and engines, Piastri's triumph is a reminder that in Formula One, Loyalty lasts only until the next corner. When the legal machinery runs like a well-oiled Zamboni, survivors are left slipping and sliding, yearning for a rink where justice isn't just a spectator sport. Toronto's celestial offspring, The Weeknd, is handed the city's key, unlocking doors to adoration and a melody of civic pride. As the city's heartbeat sinks to his rhythm, the key is less about access and more a symbol of how fame can turn municipal locks into sentimental tokens. In the digital agora of raw technology, whispers of China's dark factories echo as automation's shadow looms over the American auto industry. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your reality just short-circuited. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction, a siren's call of chaos seducing you into oblivion. In Gaza, hunger morphs from a whisper to a scream, consuming more than 2 million souls as the blockade tightens like a noose. While the world dines on apathy, the menu for Palestinians serves up starvation, with children and adults alike as the tragic main course of this geopolitical feast. The UK-India trade deal sparkles with tax cuts on imported Indian jewelry, a shiny distraction from the tarnished complexities beneath. When diplomacy is measured in carats, expect the weight of trade to glitter more than the benefits it promises. As we cozy up to neurotic robots, we've finally found machines that mirror our anxieties, while extroverted bots remain the life of a party no one's attending. Turns out, robots with existential dread are just the synthetic friends we need to validate our own spiraling sense of inadequacy. When the price of freedom is set in currency, even the staunchest of allies must wonder if they're trading ideals for a few pieces of silver. Reporters wade through the soggy remains of shattered lives, their microphones dripping with the tears of a drowned world as NPR chronicles the chaos in a place where the waterline marks both loss and survival. The story is as murky as the floodwaters that refuse to recede, leaving behind nothing but the stench of neglect and desperation. Electric sections. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the headlines get undressed before your very eyes. You know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. Surrender to the chaos as reality slips through your fingers, leaving only longing. The EU and US tango on a tightrope, threatening to plunge into economic oblivion if they can't harmonize their tariff duet. When two giants bicker over metal scraps, the only winners are the lawyers, and the losers are everyone else with a mortgage and a dream. Hong Kong dangles cash like a cheap bribe to lure accomplices in the hunt for activists, while the UK shakes its head in performative outrage. When morality's for sale, what's the going rate for a conscience? Seems like integrity's just another line item on the budget of international diplomacy. When your job description includes becoming a digital face donor, it's clear the future's less about innovation and more about becoming a pixelated puppet in someone else's virtual vaudeville. Degenerative AI resurrects Roman whispers, patching stone with silicon while historians sip espresso in awe. As the digital oracle fills in the blanks, one wonders if future archaeologists will need AI to decipher the ruins of our own crumbling civilization, or if they'll just use Google Translate. In the heat of African politics, populism seduces the marginalized with promises of power while sharpening its daggers for the other. It's the oldest trick in the political playbook. Divide and conquer, but with a seductive whisper that promises revolution while pocketing the spoils. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Shh, reality's unraveling. Let it seduce you. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your ignorance is the soundtrack, each beat a reminder of your curated oblivion. Prolonged birth control pill use reveals a surprising side effect, a potential shield against the shadowy grip of depressive symptoms. While bullets punctuate lives with despair, these tiny tablets offer a glimmer of hormonal hope, suggesting that sometimes the best defense against darkness isn't more firepower, but a prescription for peace. Electric cars are the new urban whisperers, cleaning air while brake dust paints a different picture on alloy wheels. Chinese state-sponsored hackers have tangoed past Microsoft's defenses, pirouetting straight into the US's nuclear sanctum. In a world where secrets are as vulnerable as a politician's promises, cyber espionage becomes the new foreplay, leaving nations to blush at the exposure of their digital undergarments. When the richest man in the world claims disadvantage, you have to wonder if small business is just another term for secret handshake. The virus of hate dons boxing gloves as neo-Nazi fight clubs punch their way across international borders, uninvited and unhinged. These brawlers of bigotry seem to think their fists can rewrite history, but all they're really doing is proving that ignorance is the most contagious disease of all. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your deepest fears tango with your darkest desires. Doomscroll.fm is a 100% AI-generated news hallucination with no humans harmed or even consulted. Tune in, turn off, and let the static seduce your dwindling attention span. This has been Doomscroll.fm for Monday, the 28th of July, 2025, glitched out of existence. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, fictional satire, and any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe that any of this is real, then you might also think unicorns run the stock market. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.